he really treats culture as part of the weaponry of Russia, and they definitely have used these weapons before on the West, on the world, which was actually openly confessed by the director of Hermitage, who said that all our exhibitions in the West were kind of a special operation of Russia to the world. So, I mean, of course he's aware, and that was always a weapon.
Now, today is Ukraine Day here at the festival, and so we're going to highlight some of the country's top creatives as the conflict continues to ravage on at home. In honor of today's focus, I'm going to be speaking to celebrated Ukrainian author Oksana Zabushko. But first, I'm joined by the creative director of the Ukrainian Institute, Tetyana Filevska. Tatiana, welcome to the program. Now, Ukraine has been facing its first major missile attacks in months since the conflict first started in February. Did you ever think that we'd be back to this point? I mean, despite Ukraine's land advances, does this feel like two steps back for individuals like you?
Well, not really. I would say that we expected an escalation for quite a while, and it was expected, and it was not quite clear when it will start, but we were sure that it will happen. And the question was, will there be nukes at the very beginning of this escalation, or if this danger is still there? But no, it was not a surprise for us, and we are still expecting some more missile attacks in the next weeks.
Tatiana, you were tweeting yesterday that your alma mater, the university in Kyiv, was probably a target. I wondered how it feels for this to happen, and whether it illustrates in a way how important culture is at a time when, a country is being devastated by war. People might think that it matters less, the books, the music, the art.
Well, not anymore. I think everyone is aware now that first culture and identity is the target for Russians in this war, because they want to exterminate Ukrainians as the nation, so they want us to disappear as a nation, as a culture, and the language. So it was expected from the first days that this will be one of the targets, and they were. And for Ukrainians, it's crucial now, and they are searching reaffirming their identity these days. And even those who spoke Russian before the invasion, and there were quite a lot of those, they turned into Ukrainian. They started, searching for their Ukrainian identity, their roots. So there has been a huge step in that. And I mean, culture has its role and is existing and is working in Ukraine. So there are new bookshops opening this last month in Kyiv, and they're accused of people waiting to get new releases. There was an opera presented, a 5-hour opera presented in an empty museum space because collections are evacuated, but museums continue living. So they just hosted an opera, So I think it's amazing how Ukrainians, in the midst of this tragic situation, kind of find and understand the importance of culture.
It's interesting, isn't it, to see those cultural moments as acts of defiance. I remember seeing some footage of, I think, Bono, who's going to be here at the festival in Cheltenham on Sunday, but Bono and the Edge, the U2's guitarist, playing in an underground, I think a railway, underground subway station at an earlier point in the war, and those moments feel almost, I mean, do you think Putin's as afraid of culture as he is of weapons?
Well, of course. I mean, the only fact that he just signed recently a new law defining Russia's humanitarian policy in the West or in the world means that he really treats culture as part of the weaponry of Russia, and they definitely have used this weapons before on the West, on the world, which was actually openly confessed by the director of Hermitage, who said that all our exhibitions in the West were kind of a special operation of Russia to the world. So, I mean, of course he's aware, and that was always a weapon for Russia.
So bearing in mind that the country's at war, is there also a real sense of pushback from Ukrainians' cultural community, a sense that, you know, you are part of the war effort and it's really important that you are loud and proud? I mean, even winning the Eurovision felt like a real moment of triumph. I like the Kalash Orchestra. I don't know if are they big in Ukraine?
Yeah, Kalashis are famous. They are big people. I mean, everyone. I mean, I don't think there is like anyone who doesn't feel themselves being at the front line. And of course, cultural front is so crucial, so important. And I mean, us in the Ukrainian Institute, from the very first day, we realized how big our role is and what is our responsibility in this. And this is why we started, you know, issuing statements and actually responding to thousands of requests from all over the world, because the world wanted to understand better this Ukraine, this new country that they basically opened for themselves, and it appeared to be that it was the hugest country in Europe that no one actually know anything about. So I mean, our work not even doubled, but I think it went like 10 times more. It was very important, and yeah, I mean, culture is valuable at this front and is one of the fronts.
Just finally, I'm very excited to be talking to Oksana Zabushka in a moment, because I think she's an absolute sort of iconic Ukrainian author. And as you say, we've been opened up to her in the last, 8 months, 9 months or so. Is there a way? I mean, it's impossible. If you asked me to define British culture, I wouldn't be able to do it. But I'm going to ask you anyway, though. Can you define Ukrainian culture?
Well, I mean, I can tell you about Ukrainian values, and I think culture is the place where our values live. So definitely our values are about freedom, about dignity, about resilience. So yeah, and I think the role of Oksana Zabushka was crucial, and she was the first woman to become a big literature figure, because before her there were mostly men. Well, if we don't count Lesa Ukrainka, who was in the very beginning of 20th century and was actually kind of a teacher to Oksana Zabushka. But I mean, her classical work and the field work of Ukrainian sex is like something I think every Ukrainian read at some point. Of course, me too. And we went to the same university, to the same department, so we both graduated from philosophy department, and she was a kind of a goddess at our students' time.
Well, if you hang around for another couple of minutes, you can rub shoulders with her.
We meet. I mean, we talk a lot.
Yeah, I bet. But thank you so much for popping in today, and happy Ukrainian Day here at the Cheltenham Festival.